Welcome, everyone. Hi, my name is Bill Free. Welcome to the Pure Presence Book Club. And I want to thank you all for being here. We'll allow some people to come into the room. We'll wait a few minutes before we get started. And it looks like we have, I'll make the mic live. Hello, those that are calling in. Welcome to the Pure Presence Book Club. My name is Bill Free, and I want to thank you for being with me today and with all of us. Hello, Mary. And we have about 50 people in the viewing audience. We have a few people coming in online for the call-in. Welcome, everyone, to the book club, the study of Rupert Spira's book, The Nature of Consciousness. I am really enjoying this book, and I know that many of you have expressed that in the Facebook group, and I want to thank you for participating in that. Hello, Troy. Welcome. Namaste, my friends. And wow, Rupert was on last week, and of course, when Rupert is speaking, I just want to be quiet. I want to hear what he has to say, because he's just, in my mind, Rupert is an embodiment of the non-dual direct path understanding, and no one, in my experience, no one expresses it better than Rupert does. Hello, Andrea. Welcome. Yes. We have about 50 plus people in the room, and we have half a dozen people listening on their smartphones by calling in, or the webcast that's happening on the. You can do it on your computer, or you can call in on your smartphone, and it's really cool. I have it set up. I have a mixer board set up for this to happen, so that the audio audience can listen to what the video audience is watching, and it's pretty cool setup. I'm very grateful to have figured this out, and it seems to be working flawlessly. And welcome everyone from around the world. It looks like we have, for you guys that are on your smartphones, we have people from Sweden, from UK, from New Jersey, from all over the US and different parts of the world. And it's just awesome to have this experience of gathering in one mind. We're gathering for the understanding and the community of what this non-dual direct path consciousness has to offer. And I just, when I found Rupert, I found someone that was actually able to express something that I have been knowing for a long time, but I didn't know how to communicate it to people. I didn't know how to even understand what this awareness experience is. And I didn't realize at the time that even as young children, when we're young and we're going, well, is this what is this world? And am I only here for 70 or 90 years and that's it? That's what I am. And it's remarkable to know that what you are, this presence, this awareness, is always watching. It's always present. It's never not. And most of us that are following Rupert Spira we've had an inkling at first that there's that presence. Women, I think women mostly get this first before men do, because they get this intuitive nature. They have this intuition, and it's really because their vibration is a slower vibration. It's more to the intimacy of experience as awareness, and that's why they're more in touch with the vibration. I think they call it the alpha vibration, and so that to me is what happens. It's probably why for you guys. It's probably why if you're on the spiritual path, or even if you go to church, you look around, the audience is mostly female. And what is Rupert's path? How did he arrive at these conclusions? Oh, well, that's a long story. You would find that Rupert's path, in fact, it's a good question. The If you look at the introduction to this book, the nature of consciousness that we're following, this series, this book club, you'll see that Rupert says that he spent 40 years pondering the nature of experience, and this book right here, and this is what got me so excited about this book, besides the fact that it answers all the questions, all the non-dual and direct path questions. He spent 40 years of experience he put into this book, and he expresses in the acknowledgments that he had 7 major teachers. The first one I think was Rumi. The next one was Gurdjieff, and the next one was Ouspensky, and I think Ramana was where did that list go? The rest of that list. Let me see. Okay, Ramana Maharshi, and his final teacher was Francis Lucille, that really helped him to get in touch with his understanding of this. Men have intuition too. They just need to give themselves permission. Yes, yes, yes. Andrea, no one knows it better than you. Andrea is very, she's a very, how can I say, she really has this knowing experience and this presence of awareness. And Andrea, that's with us here and commenting on the board, she's very helpful. She helps a lot of people in their awakening experience, and she's really a great mentor for many. So thank you for your comments, Andrea. I really appreciate that. And also, I'm sure that Amy Torres is here in the room as well. Welcome, Amy. Namaste, my friend. I miss you as a co-host, and I'm gonna let everyone know that Amy will be here. She will be a co-host on this show in a couple of weeks on the 25th of October. And so just to give you a general format of the way this book club is going to work, this online experience that we're having will work, is I'll talk for about 15 minutes, and then I'll invite you guys to either make comments or questions. Keep them short if you type them in on the chat feature, because I don't want to spend all my time reading your comments. So if you have a question that's on the chat feature, just try to keep it short. We have a couple of comments, questions in email. We have a couple that came in on Facebook that I want to give attention to. And then we also have a half a dozen people that are calling in that will actually be able to raise their hand, and they'll be able to come into the room as an audible voice. So if you decided that you wanted to come in with your voice, you would use your smartphone and click on the option for calling, and you would call in. And then if you're on your smartphone, you would press *2 to be able to raise your hand. If you're on your computer, it has a little page that says to raise hand. You can raise your hand that way, and we'll just make it it'll be dynamic. I want to include you guys. This is all of us actually doing this together. I don't feel like I know something that's higher or more or better than what you guys know. I feel that we are all equals here. And hello, Henrik, welcome. And I just want this to be a community experience for all of us. And would you guys give me a sound check? How's the sound doing? Just let me know how the sound is doing on the webinar, the viewing side, and how is the sound doing on the audio only? If someone on the audio side would raise your hand, just let me know how the sound is. I would love to hear from you, and we'll just kind of do a check-in. Thank you, Ed. That's great. Great on the web. Is there anyone that wants to call in? Okay, we have an anonymous here. I'm going to clear the mic. The mic is all yours. How's the sound? Can you hear me? Can you speak? Anonymous. I can't hear the anonymous caller. Do you have access to a mic? Okay, so I don't know what's happening on the calling in feature. Lisa Wood, would you raise your hand and let's just check your mic real quick and see if that if your mic is working? Are you able to do that? Okay, I'm going to unmute your mic. Thank you, Lisa. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lisa Wood. I appreciate you giving us a sound check over there. Can you guys hear Lisa Wood? Lisa, can you speak one more time? Can you guys hear Lisa Wood?
Good morning. Hello.
Hello. Can we use the phone and put in? No, you can't. Okay, so they're hearing you, Lisa Wood. Thank you for raising your hand and helping us to do a sound check.
You're welcome.
All right. If you have any questions, just raise your hand the same way. Bye-bye.
Can I shut this off?
Oh yeah. I'll clip you off right now. So your mic is now muted. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, that was great. That works good. The technology is working. And so what we're going to do next week, today it's going to be me only as your host for the book club. Next week I'll be co-hosting with Kimberly Cartwright. She'll be with me live. So we'll be splitting the screen and there'll be two of us here. And then the next week will be Amy Torres will be co-hosting on the 25th. And then we have a couple of others that have sent in information to be co-hosts. It looks like it's going to be John Finnegan and Annika from Sweden. So if you guys are watching, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Namaste. And so as we move into this week, the nature of mind, like I said, this material is so deep. When I first started reading this book, I just started realizing that each chapter was so rich with content and with the experience that was available to us. I wanted to really spend some time with it. I wanted to marinate, not to have an intellectual understanding, but as you guys know, this material, when you read it, at least for me, the way it's worked is when I read it, I'll read a paragraph, and at first it might be like I don't fully understand what I just read because it hasn't found a resonant place to connect with understanding, and then I'll go have a cup of coffee or I'll pick it up the next day and I'll start to read it and I'll realize it'll just comes to life for me. And that's just the way it's sort of stimulates our understanding, because the mind of resistance, or that has the veil, I think the question that comes into consciousness, the veil gets thinned, and then consciousness comes forward and informs me what the understanding is. At least that's my theory on it. And you guys may have your own, and you're welcome to share your theory. Looks like Lisa's. Do you still have your hand up, Lisa? I'm not sure if that hand is. Oh, I think I need to drop your hand. Otherwise, it looks like you. Oh, Lisa, I dropped the whole call. I'm sorry. I dropped Lisa Woods from the group. Sorry about that, Lisa. So you guys beware, if I click the wrong button, you might get automatically dropped by mistake. So the questions that I had for this week, I had 4 questions for you guys, and the question is, and these questions came right out of the chapter 1, the nature of mind, and why is it important or helpful to know the nature of mind, was the one question. And Rupert gave a pretty, I mean, it's a pretty clear answer. If all that could ever be known is experience, and all experience is known in the form of mind, then in order to know the nature or ultimate reality of anything that is known, is first necessary to know the nature of mind. And this, to me, this is. I hope you can come back in, Lisa Wood. I sure didn't mean to kick you out. I thought I was lowering your hand, and I kicked you right out of the call. So hopefully she'll come back. But this understanding is not different from any of the other spiritual work that we do. Yes, we should be sharing Rupert's theories, and I feel that we are sharing Rupert's theories. David, I'm not trying to infer that I know better than what Rupert knows for sure. So if I do that, it's not to say that I think that I've trumped Rupert's understandings, but we all have our own understanding of this material, and I invite each of us to share your experience of the material, either by typing it in or just an aha moment. But no, I'm not putting my theory as something that is higher or better than, or even lower than Rupert's theory, David. So, but what's interesting to me is that the mind is an important factor in this understanding, because the mind is always active. And even the mind that thinks it's split is coming from the experience of awareness. And the split mind is really an activating agent of the experience of our essential nature. And so that to me, to understand the nature of mind is really to understand how things operate, so that I can access the part of the mind that does know its essential nature. Okay, Troy is saying, the thing is, what does this understanding bring on, if not a kind of peace and happiness? Then it wouldn't be so valuable. I totally agree, Troy. I feel that, in fact, Rupert will tell us in this content that, and he said it on the show last week, that what everyone is looking for, everyone, no matter who they are, what they're doing, where they live, what country, everyone is looking for happiness in the form that they're looking. If you're an alcoholic, if you're on a drug addict, if you're on the spiritual path, if you're religious, if you're that's where I think addictions actually come from. We are looking for an answer in all the wrong places, in search of happiness, in search of our true nature, and our inheritance, which is to be happy. our purpose is really to be happy. It's not to do anything else. That's our essential nature, is to be happy. And so the next question that I had for the week, when I had the 4 questions, what is the ultimate nature of mind, and how did Rupert answer that? He said he said until the mind knows its own essential nature, it cannot be sure that anything it knows or experiences is absolutely true and not simply a reflection of its own limitations. And I have a friend here that's in the group that actually we've had conversations about this, the nature of mind, and having the experience of awareness, having, like this experience of awareness. Some beings feel that the experience of awareness is just the mind being aware of itself. And in my mind, I have to say that that's just not my experience. My experience is that awareness is the screen, and it's accessible on demand. Awareness is present, and it's always present. It's never not present. And it took me some time to be able to have an on-demand experience of awareness, but awareness it just is. It's like William Price mentioned in his quote on Facebook, that at the end of the day, we just are. I'll read his comment in a few minutes from Facebook, because he and Troy Santos had some delightful commentary in the Facebook group. It was just, and I love the engagement in the Facebook group. If you guys care to bring your engagement into the Facebook group, that Facebook group link is found in the journal. It's a link that's found in your weekly journal that's on my webpage, billfree.com, and look for workbook journals, and you'll see you'll see a summary of Rupert's introduction, just all the chapters. If you want to just write down little ahas from each of the chapters, you can use that as a workbook. The one I sent to you in a PDF, or I put it on the Facebook. I mean, on the website under workbook journals, and then also every week, like tonight, I'll post another workbook journal, like I gave you when you signed up. You can download your own PDF for next week's chapter 2, and then you can make notes on chapter 2 as you have different things come up, like for chapter, or you can use the one that I prepared for the Rupert talk. And what I did was I just went through the different chapters as I read them, and I pulled out different ideas that were like ahas for me, or very meaningful content from each of those chapters. So either print out your own copy of this was a notepad for the introduction for Rupert that I provided for you on the website, and then you can use it as a place to sort of write down some of your thoughts about each of the chapters as you go along. And that's just the way I'm approaching the book club, the workbook, kind of the review and the study of the content within this book. And then I'm just going to move to, and if you guys have any questions online, I see Andrea has her hand up. Andrea, I'll pick your hand. I'll unmute your mic in just a second. I'm just going to cover question number 3 real quick. It was what is the test of reality? And I like this one very much because, and if you go to one of Rupert's retreats, he will take you immediately to this question. If you're unsure about about what your experience is, he'll take you directly to the experience. He'll invite you to to test what you are saying or what you know by by recognizing that the test is this your experience? Is this the test of your reality? Is this your experience? And he says, let us agree, and this is on page 9 of the book. It says, let us agree that there is experience, and that experience must be the test of reality. And in other words, when he says to me, and this to me is the all-time best question that you can ask someone to bring them to the experience of awareness, to bring them to the experience of knowing the self. What is it that is aware of this experience? When you ask that question, what is it that is aware of experience? If you're not quickly grabbing an intellectual concept and you pause long enough to allow experience to reveal to you the answer, the answer doesn't come back to you in words. The answer to that comes back to you in knowing, in the experience of awareness being aware of itself. And I know that most of you that are on this call, that are in this book club, you guys are having this experience, or you wouldn't be drawn to Rupert. Rupert is a particular vibration, like Muji is. I feel it's a very similar vibration to Muji, and I just think it's even more direct than it is a self-inquiry. It's a direct experience of self-inquiry, and to me, and that's why I like Muji's work. I followed Muji for many years, and that's why I was gravitated over to Rupert. I still love A Course in Miracles. I think A Course in Miracles is another non-dual teaching that comes from the perspective, comes from the place of letting go and thinning the veil so that you can actually experience the full experience of presence, of awareness. But in my mind, in my experience, that experience is everything. But you have to do the inquiry. You have to do the investigation. What is it that is aware of this experience? And also, am I aware? Am I aware? And then the last one on the questions is, what is the essential ingredient of mind? What is the essential ingredient of mind? And the answer that Rupert has to that is, uh, let's see, it is for the reason that the essential nature of mind is said to be pure knowing or pure awareness. The essential nature of mind is said to be pure knowing or pure awareness. And it's interesting that this material, this content, actually brings you to the experience of God mind, of God presence. This brings you to this place when you are quiet and you pause with no commentary in between the words. In this quiet space is pure knowing. It's pure presence. And it's this fast, it's this quick, it's this easy to know the self. It's not difficult. It's so simple. The mind wants to capture it and call it in, make it into something that's difficult or complicated. It's very, very simple, the direct path of understanding, of knowing. And then when you reside there in this experience of pure knowing, it informs you. The mind of chatter, the monkey mind, comes into service of the experience of pure knowing. It's no longer operating from a split, um, in a split capacity. It's operating as a whole again, and that's my experience, and that's why short moments of awareness, short moments of meditation, short moments of just being present is so it's just so soothing. It's so peaceful. It's so present. And thank you for your questions. I'm going to come back to the board on the viewing audience in just a minute. But first, I'm going to Andrea Fraze has her hand up, and I'm going to unmute the mic for Andrea. And Andrea, let me see I'm unmuting the mic. The mic is all yours. Are you there?
I am, Bill.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Okay, beautiful. By the way, thank you so much for bringing this into the awareness of a greater group of seekers.
You're welcome.
And yeah, it's beautiful. I wanted to just kind of say, reiterate your experience was similar to mine, is that I've had this great sense of knowing, and I was doing it through my practice and working with people and sort of bypassing through drum sounds and verbals and breath work, bypassing what we think of as the cognitive mind, the thinker, to the full awareness that can receive without any interruption. And that was sort of my pathway to coming into the direct path.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I had a direct path, but it was important to articulate that in some other way for people to have even a fuller experience of it. And so this awareness that we're talking about, which is in fact who we or what we actually are, is the presence of love's awareness that is aware of the mind and the thoughts and the feelings, sensations, and perceptions. And what I found by working in my practice is that one of the things that I've been having people do that helps them come, because full awareness is happening in the now. And one thing about the mind is it's always past or future. It's usually not now. So if we want to really connect with this awareness that we are, that is aware of the experience through which all experience is known, then what I've had people do is to, and it's fairly simple, as a stepping stone, as a little bridge to help, is to be aware of your thoughts, feelings, sensations, and perceptions. And one of the ways to do that is just simply say, when you have a thought that's uncomfortable, or you have a thought, any thought, because all things in the world, as we know, are not permanent. They all come and go. The thoughts, the feelings, sensations, and perceptions, they're in a constant state of flow. So sometimes that flow can be so fast that we're not aware of even what's going on. So one of the things to slow it down so that you can have the experience would be to, when a thought comes in, let's say, for instance, let's just say it's uncomfortable, is to just say, I am, and not I apostrophe am, because we want to identify with the awareness of love, which I am. So you start every sentence with, I am noticing. And you can either state the thought that you're noticing, or just notice the thought. If a feeling arises, you say, I am noticing that feeling. I'm noticing that sensation. I am noticing. You keep saying, I am noticing, to everything that you're noticing. And what I noticed was when I was practicing this with myself, because I practice everything with myself before I would ever share it, to be sure that it's something that can help people, is that it slowed things down, and everything that I noticed changed when I noticed it.
It changed
and I became aware that I was the awareness of the experience and not the experience that I was noticing.
Right.
So taking is just saying, I am noticing all these things. One, it slows things down. Two, it brings you into the present. And three, it brings you into that self-inquiry to what is it that you're noticing. Sometimes you even notice a thought that's judgmental. And so you just notice, wow, I'm judging that thought, or I'm judging that feeling.
Yeah.
You don't do anything with anything. You just keep noticing.
Yeah.
And I found that was a great first step.
That is a good step.
Because then you become the one who's noticing, not what you're noticing, but the one who is noticing.
Yep. 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 I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Andrea, do you have anything to share? Any ahas or any like anything that would stand out on the first chapter?
Yes. Well, I love one of the things that I noted here is actually a few things. I mean, I love Rupert. He's so clear, and
Yes.
that was so important.
Yes.
But what I loved in the first chapter on page 10 was really this was it the third paragraph, which starts with "but with." What is all objective experience known is a thought cannot know a sensation. A sensation cannot feel a perception. A perception cannot see a feeling. A feeling cannot know an image, and an image cannot experience a memory.
Yes.
And that kind of goes to what I'm saying. So thoughts, sensations, perceptions, feelings, images, and all of that are known or experienced. They do not know or experience.
Yes.
Or experience objectively. So this little piece that I was just offering other listeners or people watching the video is it's like we're looking for, how do I have that experience? And to work with this work is to allow, even that noticing thing came to me through my awareness. It didn't come through something that I was reading. In fact, I was in a situation a couple of years ago when my husband passed away of alcoholism, and there was this overwhelming, seemingly to the mind, an overwhelming experience that I was kind of thrust into, which was, going through the home and then selling the home and discovering all these things that I needed to connect with on a deeper way and heal for myself. And I also felt for him as well. And I woke up one morning and I was just crying out to God, not really realizing that I am that is, and just said in that moment, anyway, I just said, you got to give me something. I said, I don't think I can do this. And immediately I got, Andrea, I just want you to say 3 things. Through every time you feel stuck, say these 3 things. I am noticing, I am aware, I am conscious. And I said, okay. And I'm just in communication Good. With my inner dialogue. So
that's awesome.
I noticed that when I did that, and this is before I, connected into Rupert's work or whatever, this was already being given to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yep. Rupert's work really sort of solidified that for me in a deeper way.
Yes.
So I just started using it. In the end of when I finished everything, I started saying, I am noticing, I am aware, I am conscious. And when I would do that, it wasn't to change anything. It was just to be aware.
Yeah. Yep.
And everything that I was aware of changed when I became aware of it.
Yep.
And I was aware of that. So in the end, what I ended up saying, started coming to me is, I am consciousness.
Yep. Good one.
And so, so when I'm reading this paragraph, these memories and these things that are coming through are, it is the knowing element in all knowledge, or experiencing in all experience, that, I was actually having that. And my mind, so the thinking mind, the cognitive mind, is now serving me rather than me bowing to its fear factor.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
any fears come up, I just notice that there's a thought or a belief or a perception that I'm experiencing that's causing discomfort, and I just notice it.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
and wherever that thought takes me to the next thought or the next thought, I keep just noticing it. I don't try to change it.
Yep. Yes. Good.
And that in itself, it changes itself by me being aware of it.
Yes.
That to me is the most amazing and beautiful thing that's coming out of all
It's
this,
it's a miracle.
because
It's
it
what
really
the
gives you that sense. Yeah, it gives you
it's
that
what A
sense
Course in
of,
Miracles calls a miracle. It's a quantum. It's a direct path form of forgiveness. Same thing.
yeah, it didn't feel like forgiveness to me.
Well, I know and forgiveness isn't
Yeah,
what you think it is. Forgiveness is not. That's why it's so misunderstood, and people go forgiveness, but that's what forgiveness is. It's the dissolving of the illusion in presence,
right. But
in
the
the
mind
light.
will grab forgiveness and think it's something that you do. And how I was doing it was by just noticing and doing nothing.
Yeah, yeah,
Because what I was noticing was really coming out of the illusion, that illusion of really that didn't have any real, it wasn't real. All the fears that were coming to me, and as soon as I just stood in my awareness, the fear dissolved. So
yes,
it's interesting that, yeah, you would see it as the forgiveness, and so I'll stay open to that concept, and I will notice that my mind and where I am now, I noticed that there was some resistance to what you said, but then I noticed that openness came to that, and then I noticed that I'm still now. And in the stillness, I have peace, and wherever there is peace, there is love, because
yeah,
they're inextricably um, connected.
yes,
You can't
yes,
have one without the other.
yes.
So I came to the peaceful place when I let in what you said.
Thank you, thank you
Yeah,
for giving us
that
that
was that was
description of the experience as it occurred. That was beautiful. We're going to take a station break, and this is Unity FM Radio, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. So, just for you guys that are watching, I know you saw that nothing happened, but we split this show on Unity FM Radio, and they need an outro and an intro break so that they can bring all those wonderful commercials that they brought in last week. But we gave them a station break. And thank you, Andrea, for that beautiful explanation. I loved it. And I'm going to move on to a couple of questions on the board. And then also, George mentioned that he, George mentioned that in response to what you were saying, George Mercandante, he said, makes sense when you are noticing. You separate yourself from exclusive focusing on thought, no longer suffering from the thought or feeling, but the noticing them. And thank you for that comment, George. It was appropriate and it was perfect for what Andrea was saying. And we also have a comment that David Spector wrote. Johnny, let me read Johnny first. Johnny Jacobson says, why would awareness need a paradigm shift from the individual self? It's obvious, but awareness just is. Have no agenda, so how come this need is addressed in the book? Does awareness really care about the human race? And the answer that David Spector gave, and thank you for that question, Johnny. David said, Johnny, awareness needs nothing. It is complete within itself. That's a perfect answer. I wouldn't want to or think that you need to expand on that. Thank you. Thank you, David, for the answer to Johnny. And I agree with that. And then Troy Santos says, the thing is, what does this understanding bring on? If not a kind of peace and happiness, then it wouldn't be so valuable. And I think we sort of answered, I think I I had a comment on this a few minutes ago, Troy, and that is that what we're all what the everyone is seeking for is happiness. Everyone that is seeking inner peace, the peace that passes understanding, peace of mind. And we do it in all kinds of different ways. Even these guys that do the bungee jumping, that jump, parachute, all these out these crazy roller coaster rides and these things where you get taken up into a spindle and dropped real fast. It's all to bring us into that momentary experience of presence, of awareness, where we experience the self. That brings us happiness. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with alcohol, same thing with drugs. We're all is sex, just whatever you want to pick of the thing that sort of stops the mind and brings you into this experience of presence, even if it's only for an instant. And there was a couple of good questions there was one that was emailed in by Catherine Smith Gaines. Thank you, Catherine, for your email into live@billfree.com. I did see your email, and I'm going to bring your question into the group right now. Catherine says that my question has to do with the so-called progression of Spira's teaching. I have heard him say something about the first step is to notice that we are aware of thoughts, feelings, perceptions, etc., but we are not these things. We are that is aware of, or the knower of, objective experience. That I, quote unquote, I am no thing. And just my when Rupert's talking about this, Catherine, this is where, and I know you already know this is the neti, not this, not that. So that identifies the I, and Rupert says that it is a three-phase understanding. It was for me too. And your second question is, or the second comment is, then the second step is the awareness that everything in awareness is of awareness. The second step is the awareness that everything in awareness is of awareness. I, quote unquote, am everything that appears subject and object collapse. Yes. And then she goes on to say, I feel that my experience is in step 1. So when I read the last 2 paragraphs on page 16 in chapter 1, I feel very confused and frustrated that I do not experience in that way yet. And I'm going to say that's also I commend you, Catherine, for this observation, because that's the first movement back into including this neti, because we're not separate from anything, even in the illusion. We're not separate from that. And this is something that I am also continuing to work on, to experience the perceptual world, the world of form, from the place of still being in awareness. And to me, that is almost like this is where Rupert says that we rejoin with that which we were neti, or we first step back, we first pull away, and we not pull away, but we become the subject object experience, and then we allow the object to be an experience of what we are, because as Rupert would describe in the movie screen and the movie, that the movie is not separate from the screen. Now, the screen is always available and the movie changes, but the movie is a component of the movie screen. And it's not just like he writes in some of his discussions that an email is not separate from the page that it's written on. And so those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions, and although they are not our essential self, they are an expression of, or Rupert's words would be, they are a modulation of the mind that is having the experience, and awareness is aware of all of that. And none of those ideas, none of those experiences are separate from each other. And then your next sentence says, I guess I am asking how a step one experiencer reads this book without getting confused and frustrated about not feeling like a step two experiencer. I think that's also a great question, and I would say to just notice that. That's what I would say. I would just say, just notice the just notice the thoughts, the feelings, and the beliefs around that, because it just is. Once it's just known and you don't touch it, don't give meaning to it. Don't try to understand it. Allow it as you are the sky, as awareness, pure presence is the sky. Allow these ideas, these thoughts, these feelings, these emotions, this idea that there's even a step two, or that just allow this to pass like a passing cloud, because this is not different than what I had mentioned at the beginning of this show, Catherine, where for me, I'll be reading Rupert's book, whether it's this one or one of his other writings. This one, to me, this is the hottest thing for someone that is experiencing awareness and presence and the very nature of God itself as you. This book is like the Holy Grail, because once you understand the content of this and it comes in and it has a place to marinate, you will find that you might read a paragraph in this and not understand it. Just read it. Allow yourself to be okay with not understanding it. Allow yourself to say, wow. And then just walk away from it. Go have a cup of coffee, or, do um, an errand or something, and allow the vibration of this content to reveal itself as the confusion, or as the content allows itself to be dissolved into the presence of awareness without touching it. Don't give it any kind of commentary. Just notice that there's you're feeling like you're not a good experiencer. And then so I just want to say thank you, Catherine, for that great question. I really thought it was helpful in this dialogue. And we have a couple more here. I want to try to get to Troy's question if I can. It says, Johnny Jacobson says, why would awareness need a paradigm shift from the individual self? It's obvious, but awareness just is. Okay, so I think David actually answered those two questions. And then Johnny said, David, I agree. Rupert mentions a need for a new paradigm from materialistic to consciousness. What's that about? Rupert's mind talking, or what? I don't think so. I think it's, Rupert, in my mind, Johnny, is the embodiment of this understanding. And the way this content works is that it's really not complicated, but you have to have understanding and then the veil, the veil has to have thinned sufficiently enough so that you're being informed of wisdom thought, of wisdom knowing. And if you watch Rupert in in a live webinar, in a live retreat, you'll notice often he doesn't do what I do. I put my hand on my heart, and instantly I get in alignment with reminding myself of being present as the self. But what Rupert does often, he'll just close his eyes, and in my in my watching him, what I've noticed is that he's being informed of what to say, exactly what's occurring in this experience, and it's in between the words, and this informing is coming into his awareness, and then his expression is being modulated through the mind, and then it's given a voice. And that's where Rupert is getting his wisdom teaching from. It's coming from outside of the time and space framework. And then George says, instead of suffering, one is the noticing that suffering is arising. Yes, amen. Jenny Beal, I loved what Jenny said on the Facebook group, but I like the Jenny. Thank you for that clear answer and that transcript that you gave to William Price in his question about why doesn't Rupert bring forth discussion about the feminine, uh, masculine, or the feminine nature of experience. And I love that transcript that you included in the Facebook group. So thank you for doing that. That was great. I mean, to me, that was like bringing Rupert into that discussion on Facebook. So thank you for that. But Jenny says here, for you guys that are listening and also watching, Johnny, Rupert is speaking at a relative level when he talks about a paradigm shift. His teaching does not deny the world. The world and its contents, humans, animals, plants, planet, etc., are made out of awareness. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate that. And Jenny, if you would like to be a co-host on the show one of these weeks, I would love to have you come on. So if you want to send me an email at live@billfree.com, that would be great. And then Troy says, I'll agree on the need of awareness to do anything. And that is not do anything. I need do nothing. Rupert says there's no need, but as he often says, he makes a concession to the limitations of language or something like that. Exactly. Yeah, because we're working with this, we're working with this human experience, and it's so amazing to be able to talk on these. I think these are pretty lofty levels, and we have a lot of beings that are here in this book club, and a lot of beings that are following Muji. I have many friends that are over in Sahaja in Portugal right now that they're Buddha, man. They get this stuff. And many friends that are on A Course in Miracles path and other non-dual teachings. I love it. I think we live in the best time that we could possibly live in today. We're just really, really lucky to be waking up right now. And I don't know that luck has anything to do with it, because I feel that we set our own alarm clock, and I'm just grateful that I set myself to wake up in this century. So Troy says, yes, I understand that understanding brings on happiness. Yeah, it's like this, Troy. First we understand. We first have understanding, and often there's resistance to understanding. Often there's resistance to being open. Like if you just watched Andrea Fraze when she was talking, she mentioned that there was resistance around the idea of what she was saying and forgiveness being the same. And then that demonstration was so perfect because she paused. She paused so that she could just not be letting the mind of time of conditioned self and differences come in, she paused and allowed an open mind to step forward as awareness, as presence. And there's no conflict there. There's only peace there. And so what she would share would be something that would be non-conflictual. And that's exactly what we heard her demonstrate, a non-conflicting answer, and also a description. She characterized what happened in that experience. It was awesome. And it looks like we have run out of time with our show today, you guys. This has been sure went fast. 1 hour goes so fast. I just want to thank all of you for being part of this book club. Thank you so much for being with me today. And this will be one of the few times that I'll be solo. I'll be having another guest that will both be looking at the chat board. I'll be running the controls on this end, but I want this to be a community experience for us. I want it to be like alive and fun. I want it to be informative. And also, we're mighty companions. We're all here for the same purpose of awakening and bringing the joy, bringing the presence of what we are as awareness. And one more thing I just want to mention, if you guys have a chance, if you can go to Amazon and write a book review for Rupert on this book, I think it will be awesome to write a book review. Charles Kuhn did it. I did a book review over there. And so if you guys want to go over there and make a book review for this book, that would be awesome. And thank you all for coming. And I'll see you next week. And this week, we're going to be reading chapter 2, and we're going to be bringing questions during the week on chapter 2. And I'll fill in the blanks. I'll try to answer unanswered questions in the Facebook group for this week and for the ones that came on today. So namaste, my friends. Until next week, I love you, I bless you, and I thank God for you. Bye-bye.